Welcome to About Mansfield. It's your audio newspaper. I'm Steve Casillo, broadcasting from the Solmark Studios, along with the About Mansfield news team. Colleen Daniel, well, she's way out there in Studio West. This is the January 22nd, 2025, 255th edition. Coming up, it's Mansfield News, Talk, and Information.
And a little later in the episode, you will have a chance to win a $25 gift card to a Mansfield restaurant of your choice with our Mansfield Trivia Question, courtesy of Joe Jenkins Insurance.
Let's take a look at the stories we're covering this week.
Timberview High School shooting victim dies in separate shooting 4 years later.
Mansfield woman sentenced for PPP loan fraud.
Local May ballot has some new additions.
Mansfield Sports Park to get a major facelift.
Construction continues at Rose Park.
Mansfield Library to host formal wear exchange.
Chamber hands out annual awards.
And in sports, we take an in-depth look at girls basketball.
And in the talk segment, Steve talks Bitcoin 101 in studio with local expert Gary Leland. We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. This is About Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool Hand, Cool Hand, Cool Hand, where excellence is still cool.
Navigating the ever-changing real estate market can be exhausting. At the Hornburg Real Estate Group at One West, our team of experts help make the most of your home selling goals. From the ability to bring buyers multiple cash offers, offer different ways to sell your home, and even offer pay-at-close vendors, we help you get top dollar. We have a robust marketing strategy to ensure you always have options to get your home sold in the way that makes the most sense for you. Each agent at the Hornburg Real Estate Group has been expertly trained and has years of experience behind them. Find out why our clients consistently rate us 5 stars year after year. Call or text us at 817-264-7087. Again, that's 817-264-7087. Or visit us online at homesbyhrg.com.
I'm Yulani Lashley, President and CEO of Texas Health Hospital Mansfield, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield. This portion of the news is brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
A teenager who was wounded in the 2021 Timberview High School shooting has died after being shot 4 years later. Arlington police officers responded to a reported shooting at an apartment complex on Laurelwood Drive around 5:50 Monday evening. Upon arrival, they found 19-year-old Zacchaeus Selby Mukum in the parking lot with a gunshot wound. He was transported to a local hospital where he later died. Police identified Selby as one of the victims injured during the 2021 shooting at Timberview High School. At this time, authorities have not determined whether the two incidents are connected. The 2021 Timberview shooter, Timothy Simpkins, was convicted of attempted capital murder and sentenced to 12 years in prison. He also received an additional 2-year sentence for carrying a weapon in a prohibited area. Following news of Selby's death, Mansfield Independent School District released a statement expressing condolences. The district noted it has additional counselors and resources available to support students and staff. Police are still investigating Monday's shooting. Witnesses reported hearing an argument before gunfire erupted, but no arrests have been made and no suspect information has been released. Investigators have not ruled out the possibility of high-risk activity being a factor.
A Mansfield woman has been sentenced to over 7 years in federal prison for her involvement in a fraudulent scheme to secure close to $8.5 million in Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, loans. After pleading guilty to wire fraud in September, 42-year-old Tamara Starks was sentenced Thursday to 86 months in prison. In addition to her prison sentence, U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman ordered Starks to pay $4.5 million in restitution Constitution. The U.S. Attorney's Office reported that between May of 2020 and May of 21, Stark submitted over 100 fraudulent PPP loan applications using false payroll and tax information for businesses owned by her and her husband. Starks ultimately received $4.5 million in loans, roughly half of the money that she applied for. After the loans were dispersed, Starks allegedly instructed recipients to create fake payroll records to disguise the misuse of funds. It was reported that Starks received money back from the recipients and used it for personal expenses.
The local election season is underway, and the May ballot has expanded a little since last week. For City Council, the ballot currently includes incumbent Mayor Michael Evans and challenger Julie Short, as well as incumbent Councilwoman Tamara Bounds and challenger Lori Williams. In the school board elections, trustee president Kezia Valdez-Farrar is seeking re-election for place 4, while trustee Craig Tipping is running for re-election in place 3, facing challenger Jason Thomas. The filing deadline for candidates interested in running for City Council or Mansfield ISD School Board is Friday, February 14th at 5 p.m. Early voting will take place from Monday, April 21st to Tuesday, April 29th. Election Day is scheduled for Saturday, May 3rd.
The City of Mansfield has partnered with Kemper Sports and Rev Entertainment to manage the Mansfield Sports Park, formerly known as Big League Dreams. This new collaboration aims to rebrand the facility and position it as a premier tournament destination. The City Council approved the operating agreement back in September. Kemper Sports, known for managing sports complexes, will oversee renovations and daily operations. Rev Entertainment, recognized for its sports and entertainment expertise, will provide consulting services and ensure the park aligns with the city's vision. Renovations will include new turf on all 8 ball fields, improved lighting, expanded multi-sports play area, upgraded dugouts, and high-definition scoreboards. The park will also feature an indoor turf space, reimagined Central Plaza with playgrounds, and an inclusive Miracle Field for adults of all abilities. Concessions will be upgraded to offer more options, including mobile food carts and in-seat ordering. Kemper Sports will program the park with youth and adult leagues, tournaments, camps, and community events year-round. The revitalization is expected to be completed by summer of 2025, making the park a hub for sports and community engagement.
Construction is set to begin soon on infrastructure for a new restroom and additional park amenities at Rose Park. In the meantime, visitors may notice work zones in other parts of the park. One key project includes repairs to the concrete pavilion area around the pond, which hasn't seen significant updates since it opened in 1996. Crews are also beginning the long-anticipated installation of lighting in the new parking lot and along the trail under Walnut Creek Drive. City officials say the improvements aim to make the parks safer and more welcoming for all visitors. Residents are encouraged to report any concerns or urgent maintenance needs. For non-emergency inquiries, a contact form is available on the city's website at mansfieldtexas.gov.
The Mansfield Public Library is hosting its first ever formal wear exchange. It's titled Once Upon a Dress, and it's offering free prom attire for local high school students. The library is accepting donations of gently used and clean prom dresses, suits, tuxedos, shoes, and accessories going on now through March 19th. These donations will go directly to students in need of stylish prom attire, all at no cost. To donate, items can be dropped off at the library, or you can contact Lori Eddy by telephone at 817-728-3320 for more information. Shopping events for local high school students will be held on Friday, March 21st from 2 to 5 p.m. and Saturday, April 12th from noon to 3 p.m. All high school students are invited to shop for free during these times. The library is encouraging the community to help make this prom season special for all students.
The Mansfield Area Chamber of Commerce held its annual Business Awards banquet Friday night at Walnut Creek Country Club. This year's theme, The Great Heist, set a lively tone for the evening. Top honors were awarded to Lance Walker, receiving the Community Impact Award, Golden Air Conditioning, honored with the Small Business Award, Mauser Electronics taking the Large Business Award, Vitality Bowls recognized with the New Member Award. This year's Legacy Awards were presented to Harris Cook LLP and Walnut Creek Country Club. Both have been supporters of the Chamber since the 1980s. Congratulations to all nominees and award winners for their contributions to the community.
An in-depth look at girls basketball. We'll talk about it because sports is next.
Are you ready to create unforgettable memories? Picture this: an enchanting event venue nestled amidst breathtaking landscapes with panoramic views right here in Mansfield. The Grandview Event Center is the perfect setting to bring your vision to life. From intimate gatherings to large-scale extravaganzas, the Grandview has flexible spaces to accommodate any occasion, be it a wedding reception, corporate Christmas party, or community gathering. Book your next unforgettable experience at thegrandviewmansfield.com. That's thegrandviewmansfield.com. The Grandview Event Center, where memories are made and dreams become reality. Book your event today.
Hey, it's Steve Casillo, and are you ready to make your voice heard? Want to bring out your ideas to life through captivating conversations and engaging visuals? Look no further than Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio, your one-stop destination for award-winning audio and video podcast recording. Equipped with cutting-edge microphones, crystal clear audio recording, and high-definition cameras, we're here to turn your ideas into engrossing content. But it's not just about the equipment. We're dedicated to bringing out the best in your content. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're here to elevate your podcasting game. We'll even help you with intro music, transitions, voiceover, and that professional polish that sets your podcast apart. So whether you're into interviews, storytelling, or simply sharing your expertise, Podcast Mansfield can help bring your podcasting dreams to life. Visit podcastmansfield.com. Podcast Mansfield, where creating your podcast masterpiece has never been easier.
At Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, we've been caring for our home team for over 15 years. Today, you'll find award-winning physicians on the medical staff, advanced neurosurgery, a Level 3 trauma center, critical care for newborns, and comprehensive orthopedic care. Methodist Mansfield, delivering the care our friends, neighbors, and home team depend on. That's community, and why so many people trust Methodist.
In sports, last week we took a look at how the boys are doing in MISD basketball. This week it's the girls' turn. Let's start with the Summit Jaguars, who are dominating their 5A season with an impressive 23-5 overall record, 9-0 in district play, and ranked first in the standings. Over 28 games, the Jaguars have outscored their opponents by nearly 400 points. Recent victories including a commanding 74-35 win over Everman and a close 44-42 triumph over Cleburne. With 4 games left in the regular season, Summit heads to Fort Worth Centennial this Friday night. Tip-off is at 5:30. The Timberview Wolves are ranked second in the district behind Summit with a 17-12 overall record and 7-2 in district play. Timberview has won 6 of its last 10 games, including 4 home victories. One would be hard-pressed to find a lone standout on the Wolves roster, as the team features notable seniors Danny Milliner, Viola Taja, Jada James, Armaya Amos Horsley, and Kendall Underwood. And with only 2 juniors on the roster this year, it'll be interesting to see how the Wolves season plays out next year. Timberview travels to Burleson this Friday night, with the game starting at 5 p.m. Over in 6A action, the Legacy Broncos hold third place in the district with a 5-2 record and an overall 19-12 for the season. The Broncos have won 8 of their last 10 games, including an 84-34 blowout over Crowley last week. Remember that name, Crowley. Legacy will play at Weatherford this Friday night. Tip-off at 6:30 p.m. The Lake Ridge Lady Eagles sit 4th in their district with a 14-12 overall record and 3-5 in district. Despite winning only 4 of their last 10 games, Lake Ridge had a strong performance earlier this month, defeating Crowley. 82-38. Oh, by the way, Crowley has only won just 3 of their last 13 games, and only one of those was a close loss, that being against your Mansfield Tigers. Mansfield is currently 12-14 overall and 1-5 in district play. They are 2-8 in their last 10 reported games. Mansfield faces Lake Ridge in a crosstown matchup this Friday night at 6:30. If you have a comment about the show, the news, whatever's on your mind locally, you can reach us by voicemail at 817-435-2938. Think of it as your audio letter to the editor. That voicemail again is 817-435-2938. Just a quick programming note, our real estate reporter, Angela Hornburg, is moving out at the end of the month. You see what I did there? Real estate, moving out. And that means we've got a spot to fill. Are you or someone you know a real estate rock star bursting with ideas, tips, and insider information? Think you've got what it takes to be the next go-to voice of real estate here in Mansfield? Shoot us an email at info@aboutmansfield.com. We will hook you up with the details on how to audition. Let's see if you are ready to bring on the heat. This coming Friday, January 24th, is National Compliment Day, a day that's all about spreading positivity by making someone's day a little brighter with a compliment. A simple, kind word can instantly lift someone's mood and create a ripple effect of happiness. Compliments are so impactful that there's even a World Compliment Day, and that happens on March 1st. The day was created back in 1998 by Kathy Chamberlain and Debbie Hoffman from New Hampshire, aiming to encourage people to compliment each other and connect through positivity. While we often save compliments for big occasions like birthdays and anniversaries, National Compliment Day reminds us that small, sincere compliments, whether it's about someone's hair, their outfit, or their character, go a long way in boosting confidence. And who could forget this famous compliment from the movie Juno?
Because you're like the coolest person I've ever met. And you don't even have to try,
Or Will Ferrell in Elf.
You have such a pretty face, you should be on a Christmas card.
And this famous compliment from the movie The Help.
You is kind, you is smart, you is important.
Keep in mind that something as simple as a smile is the perfect compliment to go with your wonderful compliment.
Coming up after the break, we turn the page to the features section.
I'm Angel Biasatti. Many people suffer from a severe headache from time to time, but not every bad headache is a migraine. We'll talk about ways to prevent headaches next in Methodist Mansfield News to Know.
Curious what home updates don't bring a return on investment? I'm Angela Hornburg, and we'll talk about it in the Mansfield Real Estate Update.
In this week's Cocktail of the Week, we're elevating relaxation to an art form.
We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
This portion of the news was brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool hand, cool hand, cool hand, where excellence is still cool.
Congratulations to Kelly Johnson, who knew that McClendon Moody was the first African American to be elected to the Mansfield City Council. Moody served 15 years on the council, and because of his contributions to the city, Moody has not one but 2 city parks named in his honor, McClendon Parks East and West. Mr. Moody passed away in 2018 and will always be the first African American elected to the Mansfield City Council. When we come back, this week's trivia question. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
Hi, this is Joe Jenkins with Joe Jenkins Farmers Insurance, specializing in auto,
Well,
home,
Steve,
commercial,
recently
and life
the
insurance.
Mansfield Police
I was born
Department
and raised here in
celebrated the
Mansfield, Texas.
retirement
We're
of a
active in the
faithful
community,
and skilled
Mansfield's a
team
town we
member
really care about.
that assisted
Our
with
office has over
narcotics
30 years
detection and
experience in the insurance industry, and we're passionate about what we do and about customer service. For a free quote, please visit our website at joejenkinsinsurance.com or give us a call at 817-472-6058. Once again, that website is joejenkinsinsurance.com.
It is time right now for the highly coveted, wildly popular About Mansfield Trivia Question. If you are the first person to email the correct answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com, you will receive a $25 gift card to a Mansfield restaurant of your choice. It's brought to you by Joe Jenkins Insurance. Whether you're looking for homeowners, auto, commercial, or any other type of insurance, Joe has helped Mansfield area residents understand the insurance coverage that best fit their needs since 2010. You can find him on the internet at joejenkinsinsurance.com. I've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. Not everyone wins on a Wednesday. If you're listening on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, or whenever, give it a shot. You may be taking home a $25 restaurant gift card. Colleen, it's your turn.
Well, Steve, recently the Mansfield Police Department celebrated the retirement of a faithful and skilled team member that assisted with narcotics detection and apprehension. This week's trivia question is, what is the name of the dog that recently retired from the Mansfield Police Department's K-9 unit? Email your answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com. Again, what is the name of the dog that recently retired from the Mansfield Police Department's K-9 unit? Good luck, and thanks to Joe Jenkins Insurance for the gift card.
Hello, I'm Constable Sandra Lee, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. Let's open up the features section. Angel Biasatti has information about how not every bad headache is a migraine in Methodist Mansfield News to Know. Angel?
Many people complain about migraines.
Angela
However,
Hornburg addresses
there are numerous
which
types
home
of headaches that are
don't
likely
bring a
causing that
return on
pain.
investment.
Typically,
in the Mansfield
a doctor
Real Estate Market
diagnoses a
update.
migraine when
Angela?
a person shows at least two of these headache-related symptoms: nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light or sound. Another thing that sets migraines apart is they can be disabling in nature for the person. A migraine headache often makes it difficult to concentrate. Many people have to lie down to get relief from their migraine, or lie down in a dark room. Anyone who believes they suffer from migraines should keep a headache diary. Log the date, the time, the description, and location of each headache, and share those findings with your doctor to help pinpoint the symptoms, the possible triggers, and warning signs that a migraine is coming on. In many cases, that annoying to sometimes unbearable head pain can be remedied with simple lifestyle changes. The best way to prevent headaches is to take care of your body. Make sure you're drinking enough water during the day. There's a documented link between headaches and dehydration. The rule of thumb is for women to drink about 11 cups of water a day and 16 cups for men. Your body needs the water to keep it operating as it should. Exercise. Physical activity like Pilates or running can loosen up tight neck and back muscles and send positive hormones to the brain to keep an incoming pain at a minimum. Eat right. Many patients admit to skipping meals, which directly correlates to more headaches. Snack on nuts or vegetables in between meals could also help prevent hunger pains and migraines. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, headaches are just one of the many issues that can stem from sleepless nights. You may be at a higher risk for obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke by not getting enough sleep. The recommended amount of sleep is 7 to 8 hours a day. If you keep up with your meals, hydration, and relaxation for several weeks with no improvement, it's time to see a physician to help find a diagnosis and the root cause of your headaches or migraines. To find a doctor on the medical staff at Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, telephone 1-877-637-4297. Reporting for About Mansfield, I'm Angel Biasatti with Methodist Mansfield News to Know.
Angela Hornburg addresses which home improvements don't bring a return on investment in the Mansfield Real Estate Market update. Angela?
Believe it or not all home improvements bring a return on investment. I oftentimes meet with homeowners who have made wonderful updates and additions to their home, and they're sad to learn that the things they've done don't make their home worth more in the resale market. To be clear, the items I'm going to mention are great things that you can do to your home. The point that I want to be sure you understand is that when you do these things, you should do them for your own enjoyment while you live in your home, but that you will not see a dollar-for-dollar return in the resale market. The top 4 home updates that people are surprised do not bring a return are roofs, HVAC systems, water heaters, and windows. Why is that? Well, when someone is purchasing a home, they have a minimum expectation that a home will have all of these systems in good working order when they expect to pay market value. While it is true that someone will not pay you market value if they're close to the end of their useful life or broken, buyers' expectations are that these home components will be working order at all times. Let's talk about roofs. Roofs are obviously necessary, and they must be insurable for a new buyer at the time of the sale, which means that if your roof is not insurable due to condition, you would need to repair or replace it while paying your deductible. Because you paid your deductible, this does not mean your home is worth that much more. An insurable roof is an expectation of buyers when they pay market value. Moving on to HVAC systems, these two are an expectation of buyers when they want to pay market value. They expect that the home has working HVAC systems in good condition that are not near the end of their useful life. Because code requirements and manufacturing guidelines have changed on HVAC systems, a system that can no longer be serviced, repaired, or charged with refrigerant is almost always going to need to be replaced prior to selling when a buyer is paying market value. A newer system doesn't add value to the home, but it does make it more preferable, and a newer system will help a buyer bridge the gap of value between what they want to pay and what they are willing to pay when they know they won't have a big expense coming after closing. The same is true with water heaters. Water heaters are not difficult to replace, which is why a lot of homeowners choose to forego the permit with the city and do it themselves. What happens in these instances is that the homeowner saves about $500 to $750 to do it themselves, and then they end up paying 3 to 4 times that amount when they're under contract to have a plumber do it correctly. For buyers purchasing a home with an FHA or VA loan, the appraiser does look at the water heater to be sure it meets basic visual requirements, and if it doesn't, the lender will require it to be remedied prior to closing. Replacing a water heater doesn't add value to the home, because again, it is an expectation that the home will have a working water heater. Last, let's talk about the big one that is windows. Windows are a complex one because cosmetically they can greatly change the appearance of a home to make it look much more updated. When a homeowner chooses a new window frame that is more updated than perhaps what their home was built with, they can gain value based on the cosmetic appearance of the home in the eyes of a buyer. The challenge is that windows are so expensive that it likely is not going to be a dollar-for-dollar return. The real win for homeowners who replace windows are the increased energy efficiency that new windows create. This helps keep utility bills down and provides for better enjoyment in the home throughout the change of seasons. If the old windows are fogged, then this also gives a clear view out of the windows, which again provides for more enjoyment of the homeowner. While buyers do appreciate new windows, there is not an attribution of direct value that increases the home's value in the eyes of a buyer or an appraiser. With that being said, be mindful of unnecessary upgrades or upcharges when you're replacing any of these items in your home. Also keep in mind that you should do these things to enjoy the benefit of living in your home, so don't wait to do them until right before you sell, or you may find yourself in regret for not being able to enjoy them while you live there. Reporting for the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Angela Hornburg, broker with One West Real Estate.
Incidentally, Angela is leaving the podcast at the end of January, which creates an opening. Are you, or is someone you know, a real estate professional who's full of ideas, tips, and advice? Send us an email to info@aboutmansfield.com, and we'll get you the information on how you can audition to be the next voice of real estate in Mansfield. In the meantime, shaken or stirred, you know it's going to be good as Brian Certain serves up a drink that elevates relaxation to an art form in the cocktail of the week. Brian.
This week's feature is the Honey Lavender Gin Fizz, a floral twist on the classic that dates back to the 1900s. The original gin fizz, born in New Orleans, no surprise, has been delighting cocktail enthusiasts for over a century. While Jerry Thomas first documented the fizz in his 1876 cocktail guide, it was Henry C. Ramos who perfected the technique in 1888 at his Imperial Cabinet Saloon. We're continuing our New Year, New Sip series with this aromatic adaptation that brings together botanical notes of gin with the soothing properties of lavender and the natural sweetness of honey. But as always, don't worry about taking notes as I'm giving out the ingredients and instructions. I always post them every Wednesday on bourbongospel.com. So this week, ingredients: you'll need 2 ounces of a London dry gin. You need 1 ounce of fresh lemon juice. You need 0.75 ounces, heck, go ahead and go for a whole ounce of lavender syrup, which I'll give you in a second. You need to have club soda to top, and it'd be really nice to have a fresh lavender sprig or a lemon wheel for garnish. To make the honey lavender syrup, this is a nice adaptation of your typical honey simple syrup. You're going to take 1 cup of honey, 1 cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of dried culinary lavender buds. You can find those on Amazon or any of your other shippers. Now let's craft this elegant sipper. First, you make the honey lavender syrup. So you combine the honey and the water in a saucepan, add the lavender buds, simmer for about 5 minutes until the honey is fully ingrained with the water, remove from heat, then let steep for about 30 minutes, then strain and chill. For the cocktail, fill your shaker with fresh ice, add the gin, the lemon juice, the honey lavender syrup, and shake vigorously for 12 to 15 seconds. Kind of the key and kind of a reminder for this year is you want to shake it until your hand hurts because of the cold. Then switch hands and do it again. Then once you're done, strain it into a Collins glass filled with fresh ice and then top with club soda. Then finally garnish with a fresh lavender sprig and a lemon wheel. The flavor profile: primary, you're going to get the botanical gin and the floral lavender. On the back end, you're going to pick up bright citrus and sweet honey. And finally, for a finish, it's going to be light. It's going to be effervescent. It's going to be very refreshing. This cocktail perfectly bridges January's wellness intentions with the classic cocktail sophistication. Lavender has been used for centuries for its calming properties, while honey brings natural sweetness and antioxidants. It's a mindful approach to mixology that honors both tradition and modern wellness trends. Pro tip: when selecting your gin, look for one with prominent juniper notes to complement the lavender. A Bombay Sapphire or the Botanist work very beautifully here. As always, I'm open to hear your take and input. You can reach me at brian@bourbongospel.com. And until next week, as Mark Twain said, too much of anything is bad, but too much whiskey is barely enough. Reporting for the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Brian Certain.
We're back in 60 seconds with Steve's in-studio interview with Bitcoin expert Gary Leland.
Imagine a city where innovation knows no bounds, where dreams take flight, and the future unfolds before your very eyes. Welcome to Mansfield, a beacon of growth and a testament to vision. In the heart of Mansfield, a remarkable transformation is underway. But it's not just about the physical landscape. It's about the spirit that drives us forward. A spirit of collaboration that bridges cultures, a spirit of entrepreneurship that fuels prosperity, and a spirit of community that binds us as one. Mansfield is more than just a place. It's a canvas where diversity paints the picture of progress. From art festivals that ignite creativity to tech hubs that redefine boundaries, this city celebrates every voice, every passion. Mansfield, where growth knows no limits and the vision is limitless. Brought to you by the unstoppable spirit of the Mansfield Economic Development Corporation.
Hi, I'm Stevie Dawn Carter, Executive Director of the Fleetwood Project, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to another segment of About Mansfield. I'm Steve Casillo as we make the transition from news to talk. And in the studio today, I should probably start with this. The following opinions are those of my guest and myself, and this is not a solicitation to buy, sell, or trade. And we are going to get into some financial talk, something that everybody knows the word, but not everybody knows what it is. And we're talking Bitcoin today with the Bitcoin boomer. He just happens to be in town, and I wrangled him into the studio. Gary Leland, welcome to About Mansfield.
Hey, it's great to be here. It's really great to be here. And yes, I want to make sure that you're correct on what you said. I want to make sure I do not have any Bitcoin I want to sell anyone. I'm not selling my Bitcoin. I'm not going to tell you where to go buy it. I'm not going to give you a referral code where I make some money.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about something I'm passionate about, which is the future of technology.
And this is really for the listeners, Bitcoin 101. And I actually went on, and people are afraid of AI. I went on ChatGPT yesterday, and I said, give me all of the intricacies of Bitcoin and explain it to a fourth grader.
That's a good way to do it.
Oh my gosh. I now understand what we're going to talk about today.
Well, good. I'm glad it was that simple. I've never thought about that.
Oh yeah, it's very, very simple. So how long, you're the Bitcoin boomer. So let's first clarify that. You started a podcast. And I don't think it was a Bitcoin podcast. You started your first podcast in 2004.
Right. It was a sports podcast. It was the first podcast about sports because I had a sporting goods store.
Right.
So it was the first podcast about sports, and I really started it so I could use it to market my business. I've done probably close to 100 podcasts in my lifetime. Sometimes I had 4 or 5 going at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And I've always used them as a way of marketing whatever I was doing. I had a wallpaper podcast because I had a wallpaper store. I had a sporting good podcast because I had a sporting good. I had a podcast about podcasting because I always felt that was a great way to market yourself instead of paying to be on someone else's show.
Oh, yeah.
Just make your own show and build your audience and market yourself and have your own show sponsored by your own company.
And in 2004, you were one of the pioneers of podcasting.
Yeah, I'm told I was one of the first 50 podcasters, and I'm in the Podcast Hall of Fame.
And you were mentioned in Time Magazine as one of the top 50 podcasts in the country?
No, it was one of the top 50 websites in the country, in the world. One of the top 50 that was in 2006.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had the top 50 websites on the planet or in the world, and they had different categories. And I was in the tech category. My website, Podcast Pickle, was the name of it. It was really one of the first directories, way before Apple had podcast directories.
Sure.
And but I must not be as smart as I think I am because there were 10 of us in that category, and the other 10 all became billion-dollar companies. You had PhotoBucket, you had Facebook, you had YouTube, you had MySpace. They all became huge billion, and then me.
Whatever happened to MySpace?
Yeah.
MySpace is still around, but
well, the guy who built it sold it for a ton of money to Fox. So I was the loser out of the batch.
Nobody came to Gary and said we want to buy for.
Well, they did, and we had a really big deal put together. We were flying out to a company. Let's rephrase it. A company contacted us. They contacted Libsyn. They contacted 3 or 4 other companies. They were going to build the largest podcasting network in the country, or in the world probably, I guess, at the time. It was so new. And we had settled on an amount that was, at the time, going to be the biggest payday I'd ever seen in my life. Yeah. And probably in the dollars, what the dollars were worth then, it would definitely have been the biggest payday in my life. And I remember at the time, my wife and I went and bought a new suit. We had our flights out to it was out to Washington State, I think is where the parent company was from. And I was supposed to fly out Monday morning to sign the paperwork. And we were eating dinner Sunday night, and I got a call from the guy. I can't even remember who the company is now.
Yeah.
The guy's name said, "Hey, the whole deal has fallen apart. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
Go home.
No need to come. Tell us how much you paid for your tickets. We'll refund you your money." And I'm like, "What happened?" He goes, "Well, Libsyn.
Yeah.
They decided not to do the deal. They wanted much more. And they were getting like $20 million.
And to the listeners, Libsyn is a podcast hosting company.
Right.
Just like a website needs a host, podcasts also need a host, and Libsyn is one of dozens, now hundreds.
Oh yeah. But they were one of the first. And it was funny. I think that company was owned by 5 people that started, and 4 of them were named Dave.
Yeah,
it was always weird. But anyway, the whole deal fell apart because they decided. And I saw Dave some years later, and Dave, one of the Daves, is still a good friend of mine. And I said, Dave, do you know how many millions of dollars you cost me? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you guys pulled out of that deal. And this was way before they were owned by who they are now. This was the original owners.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, my God, you were in on that deal? And I said, yeah, I was in on that deal. And he goes, we were just idiots. We really thought we were all that and we were this or that. And if we should have settled for the payday because we ended up getting basically nothing out of it.
Yeah.
But we thought we were like deserved way more. And so, but, it was an exciting time. And so a learning experience for sure.
We jump ahead to Bitcoin, the topic of today. Now going back to weird website names, back when eBay first started, it was like nobody had ever heard of an online auction, and what a weird name.
Yeah.
And when PayPal started, it's like people are going to transfer money, and what a weird name. And now Bitcoin. I'm not even sure how long Bitcoin's been around, but it's
2008, I think.
Okay. But what a weird name.
I could be wrong, could be 6.
And I remember people not taking eBay and PayPal seriously because it's just it's a weird name. Bitcoin is kind of a weird name too, and people are going, well, I don't know, it's a weird name. And and so 2008, when did you hear about Bitcoin and first start your journey?
Well, I'm pretty typical on people who are really into Bitcoin. It usually takes 3 shots.
Yeah.
The first shot I heard about it, I was at Callie Lewis. Do you remember Callie Lewis? Used to have a show, Lobster Studios in Dallas. I went by her studios because I was getting the video, and she was one of the first video podcasts that had come out back in 2005 or 6. So I went by her studio, and there was a guy there who knew me. Mark Hopkins is his name, and people were coming into. And while I was waiting for Callie to get through with her show to talk to her, I was sitting in Mark's office. He had a sub office there, at least, kind of like you have here.
Yeah.
And people were coming in and giving him money. And he was handing them thumb drives, and they were leaving.
Huh.
I said, and when the third guy came in, I go, what in the hell is going on here, Mark? And he goes, well, have you heard of Bitcoin? I said, no, I don't know anything about this. And he goes, well, it's kind of like online stocks. And I said, I'm not interested at all.
Yeah.
It was about $100 at the time. And I said, I'm not interested in that at all. And then I was having dinner with Adam Curry down in Austin one evening, and he had Bitcoin. He had 33 of them that someone gave him as a tip when he did the Daily Source Code, his first podcast.
33 Bitcoins for a tip.
Yep. And I said, have you cashed in those Bitcoin yet? And he goes, no way, Jose. He goes, they're going to be worth $1 million each. There's no way I'm cashing them in. And so that was my second time. I said, well, that's crazy. Then I was speaking in Dallas at I don't know if they even do it anymore. It's called the Big D Conference. And it was a marketing conference, a tech marketing conference, I guess, type thing. And I was speaking, doing a talk about podcasting, of course, because that's what I was into at the time. And I came out at the conference, and I'm walking down the hallway, and 4 or 5 of my friends are talking there, and I go up just to say hi and join a conversation, and one of them is talking about Bitcoin, and the other 4 or 5 are listening. And he talks for about 5 minutes, and everybody just disperses. I said, but he said something that really interested me.
Yeah.
And it was my third shot, so maybe I was just due. He said that Bitcoin was the missing and only protocol for the internet that had not been developed. There had never been a Bitcoin protocol for the internet for money.
Yeah.
That's it. There's one for movies. There's one for audio. There's one for photos. I mean, there's a ton of protocols. There's HTTPS, but there wasn't one for money. And that's what Bitcoin was, the missing protocol for money. And that interested me because at the time, I started my first e-commerce site back in 96. Everybody told me I was an idiot. People wouldn't buy stuff on the internet. And I said, well, I'd buy stuff on the internet. So I don't know why anyone else wouldn't. And
now it's $1 billion industry.
Yeah. So I went ahead and went forward and built my website, lelandswallpaper.com, which is still going today. We've sold it, and we have person who's doing it is very successful and still has the website running up. But because I had at that time maybe 20 e-commerce sites, I was really interested in a protocol for money for the internet. And I said, Tony, could we sit on the couch and you re-explain to me what I missed in the explanation there? And this was at 1 o'clock. 6 o'clock, the conference is ending, and we're still sitting on the couch talking about Bitcoin. So, of course, when I drove home, I listened to a podcast about Bitcoin, And then when I got home, I called Tony and said, are you going to be at the conference tomorrow? And he goes, sure. I said, can I talk to you about Bitcoin some more? And he goes, sure. So I drove over. We sat on the couch for about 2 or 3 hours. Then he took me over to his house. He was mining Bitcoin. And
we're going to get deeper into mining.
But he was doing that, and we'll explain what it is later. But he was mining actually Ethereum.
Okay.
Because at that time, you couldn't mine Bitcoin at home, basically. It was too hard. And then he would exchange his Ethereum for Bitcoin. Yeah. So he was showing me all that, and he sold me a wallet. He had some extra wallets and showed me how to go to Coinbase, and I bought, $5 worth of Bitcoin and put it on the wallet. And drove home listening to a podcast. When I got home that night, I went to Coinbase. Back then, it was just Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum was all that's on there. Now there's probably hundreds of coins. And I started buying Bitcoin, and I've been buying it. Matter of fact, I bought some last week, and my wife goes, man, this is too high to buy. And I said, I've been buying at the high since 2017.
There you go.
So, that's not going to scare me off.
So we're back to Bitcoin 101. What is Bitcoin? Now, number one, the research I was doing yesterday, 11,000 cryptocurrencies out there.
Oh, I was going to think 20.
And this information could be old. Yeah. But why has that funneled from 11 or 20,000 down to 1? Bitcoin is the king of cryptocurrency. And what is it and why is it?
Number one, just to let you know, I only believe in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I only do Bitcoin
because that's in your name, the Bitcoin boomer.
Well, still, I don't have anything else. I don't have any other kind of cryptocurrency. I don't care about any other cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is the only one, in my opinion, that's worth doing. The main reason I think Bitcoin is the king is, number one, I think being first helps everything, no matter what you're doing. If you're the first at it, you do pretty good. But number two, it's a decentralized currency.
Meaning what?
There is no home office. There is no president of the company. There is no one that can turn it on and off. There is no place for the government to raid and say, we're shutting this down, and take all their computers and raid it. There are millions and millions of computers around the planet. This is the largest computing network there is. Texas happens to have the largest one in the United States, just south of College Station. And in Corsicana right now, they're building the largest Bitcoin mining farm on the planet. The biggest there is. But this is so decentralized that you can't shut it down. Now, you could go to any of them, Ethereum, Solana, any of those, and you could go to the headquarters, throw the owner in prison, confiscate all his computers, and say, you're not getting out of prison until you give us the codes. Whether this is China doing it, Russia doing it, the U.S. doing it, any government could do that. I think after you're in prison in solitary confinement for 10 years, you're going to give them what they want. You know what I mean? And it's going to shut it down. There's no one to throw in jail in Bitcoin. There's no one to get there are no codes.
Who invented or how was Bitcoin invented?
Well, no one knows who invented Bitcoin. It's a guy with a username, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
But no one, I think pretty much everybody agrees he's not from necessarily Asia. From the way he writes, there are different writing styles versus someone who learns English and is in Asia versus someone in Europe versus someone in the U.S., just their writing styles and stuff. But no one actually knows who invented that. And many people think that he was smart enough, first of all, to invent this, but that he was also smart enough to know the repercussions of what could happen if people knew who he was, that either he might because he owns the most Bitcoin there is. He has 1,100,000 Bitcoin.
Wow.
Which he mined just like everybody else does. He didn't give himself the stuff. So he was smart enough, I think, this is just my thoughts. I know other people agree with me and some may not. But I think he was smart enough to know that if people knew who he was, number one, his life would be in danger, if not by criminals, but by the U.S. government or any government going, we need to get the codes, not realizing there are no codes to go get.
Is Bitcoin secure? Is it a secure currency?
Yes, it is. I believe it is. It's the only possible way you could shut down Bitcoin is to shut down the internet on the entire planet. And guess what? If you did that for a year to kill off Bitcoin, and all the governments got together and said we're going to do that, and then a year later they opened the internet back up, guess what? Bitcoin would still be there.
It's still there.
Yeah, you can't get rid of it. It's Putin even announced maybe 2 months ago that you can't kill Bitcoin. He even realized it, and I'm sure he's tried. China made it illegal to mine Bitcoin. They had more people working Bitcoin in China than anywhere. They controlled the hash power, and they made it illegal 4 years ago maybe. What the information I have is always correct, but I might be off by a year or two on things I say. And all those miners moved to the U.S. Bitcoin dropped when it got shut down in China, but went right back up, a few months later, as soon as they all got set up in the U.S.
The first time you heard about Bitcoin, roughly what price was it at?
100.
100.
Yeah.
And now we are recording this on Friday, January 17th. Today, and it's in the morning. We are 10 in the morning. It has already reached 104,000 this morning. And the first time you heard about it, it was at 100.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's gone up a little bit. And you made a prediction last year, and you met that prediction.
Yeah, I said January the 1st of last year, it would reach 100 by January 1st, 2025, which it hit up to 108.
And it wasn't until like the last couple of weeks of the year that it hit 100.
Matter of fact, it was still far enough away from 100 that I think sometime in November, I posted, I said, I'm still just in case you're wondering, I'm still saying 100 by Christmas. Because it was far enough away that I was going, this is looking iffy, but I still think I'm right, and it did.
And Gary the Sage was correct. So in a nutshell, Bitcoin is a currency. It's a digital currency. It's something you cannot hold in your hand.
Right.
It is just like using PayPal, just like paying your bills online. You're not physically touching money. You are transferring digital money from point A to point B.
Ones and zeros.
Ones and zeros. Yes, digital talk. But this is the king of international currency.
This will be the world currency someday.
And so
it may not happen in my lifetime. I'm 70.
Yeah.
But someday, this is another prediction, and I know there's so many people agreeing with me, this will be the world currency someday. One currency for the entire planet. They talked about that forever and ever. This is it. Because it can't be manipulated. It can't be printed more of. There are 21 million Bitcoin. That's all there ever can be. There can't be any more. Now and actually you don't even have 21 million. You do realize that over 4 million Bitcoin are projected have been lost.
Yeah.
Or not projected, but are they've decided. That's the number most people use because people threw away laptops that had 4,000 Bitcoin on them.
Or the guy, I think he was in San Francisco, where you only have 10 chances at your password, and he's used 9.
Right.
And he can't remember whatever the password was.
But one more password attempt wrong, he's locked out forever.
And he's lost millions of dollars.
Yeah. Some people have lost billions of dollars.
Yeah.
I even had a friend, someone I've known since second grade. He had his, I had talked him into buying Bitcoin in 2017, so he did it. And the SEC was suing Coinbase. And he just left his Bitcoin on Coinbase. I said, have you looked at that lately? He goes, oh my gosh. I didn't know because he didn't keep up with it. And I said, well, you got to get it off Coinbase because if the SEC shuts them down, the SEC was under Biden was very negative to cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
And I said, you need to get it off and put it on your own personal storage device, instead of leaving it on someone else's storage device.
Right.
And he did. And then he contacted me and said, that company is of no help at all that you told me to buy that wallet from. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I lost my password.
Ooh.
And now they won't give it to me. I said, they don't have it.
You go back to 33 Bitcoin for a tip.
Yeah.
In today's dollars, that's a hell of a tip.
Yeah, that's a big tip there. Yeah, for doing a podcast.
That's $3.3 million.
For doing a podcast.
There was a guy, my producer was telling me about this yesterday. There was a guy who paid for a pizza.
Now, that's true, but that's not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
You know, he paid $10,000 for a pizza. He said, I want a pizza. Anyone will get me a pizza, I'll pay $10,000 for it. Someone said, I'll do it. But Bitcoin wasn't worth much of anything at the time.
Yeah.
It was the first time Bitcoin was ever spent as currency for anything. But most people don't realize he did that several times. It wasn't like a one-shot deal. He did that several times.
Interesting.
So he had so much Bitcoin that $10,000 for a pizza was nothing for him. So I'm sure he said, and I've seen him interviewing people who've asked him, he wish he hadn't done it. He goes, it was great. You know, that's his attitude on it. So this guy probably has so much Bitcoin that buying pizzas for $10,000 3 or 4 times is no big deal.
Chump change.
Yeah.
We're talking the basics of Bitcoin with Gary Leland. And what do you think so far? I'd love to hear your feedback. Be sure to tune in next week for part 2 of our interview with Gary. In the meantime, this is the place where you will hear the latest Mansfield news, talk, and information. Until then, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, engage, connect, amplify, elevate, celebrate, embrace, explore, love, or support this podcast if you haven't already so you never miss an episode. It's free and it's easy. Head on over to our website, aboutmansfield.com. Right there on the homepage, enter your email address. We will never, ever, ever, ever send you any spam. That is my personal promise to you.
About Mansfield is recorded at Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio. Hosts Steve Casillo and Colleen Daniel. Moment with the Mayor feature, Michael Evans. Methodist Mansfield News to Know, Angel Biasatti. Mansfield Real Estate Market Update, Angela Hornburg. Cultural Arts Calendar, Tim Roberts. Cocktail of the Week, Brian Certain. Post-production editing, mixing, and mastering, Steve Casillo and Andrew Miner.
This podcast is copyrighted by Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this podcast without written consent is strictly prohibited. We thank you all for listening. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Steve Casillo, and this...
Because you're like the coolest person I've ever met, and you don't even have to try, you know?
You have such a pretty face. You should be on a Christmas card.
You is kind. You is smart. You is important.
Is About Mansfield.